I don't even know what it costs. Yeah, I hit the ground and it go off. Yeah, hit the ground and it go off. Yeah, run it. Ooh, I really feel it's my time. Think it's my year. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, big day on the morning show today. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. A lot to get to. We're going to talk a little bit of crypto. We have to. It's crypto ETF launch day. How can we not talk about that? I know JC wants to talk about the Qs. Steve wants to talk about the hot corner. So we'll get to that. Very special guest today on the show. Our guest is not going to have charts, but they're going to have psychology. Denise Shull is our guest. If you've seen the show Billions, you have seen a character that was based off of her. She runs the ReThink Group, and we're going to get all psychological today. It's going to be fun. So, you know what to do. Smash the like. Let's bring on JC and Steve.
All right. So now that the Bitcoin ETF has been officially launched, what are we all going to gossip about?
Oh, gosh. Whoa, I forgot to mention jobs number.
Let me get back to this recession.
Wait, jobs number just out. Do you want to gossip about that?
Yeah. Sure. Give it to me.
Oh, I said jobs number. I meant CPI. You knew what I meant. CPI just out. Actual.
Didn't give a shit either way.
Actual month over month CPI 0.3%, expecting 0.2 year over year. CPI up 3.4%, expecting 3.2% on a core basis. It's just without food and energy. Month over month was in line. Year over year was just a smidgen on the high side. So all that comes down to is CPI more or less in line. Maybe it's a smidge higher. The non-core CPI just a smidge higher. So food
and then what really matters is how the market trades in response to these headlines. So futures markets right now, traders are reducing their bets on March rate cut after inflation data.
Yeah. That was probably to be expected. I think maybe either way. I don't think the Fed hasn't even said they're really ready to cut rates yet. So a March hike, and there's only one meeting between now and March.
Oh, they said it last meeting. He finally said it.
Did he?
Oh yeah, they said it. They put in the dot plot. He acknowledged.
Okay.
Cutting.
All right.
Let me tell you something. I love a good dot plot. Just adds so much value to my process. The more dots to plot, the better. Is really what I always say.
How good do you think the recession will be in 2024? Will be as good as 2023's?
I mean, man, 2023's recession was really good for stocks. So maybe 2024's recession will be just as good. Listen, recessions are fucking great, man.
I mean, you get two good ones back to back like that. I don't know.
Listen, I always say recessions are a choice, and we choose to profit throughout these things.
So really,
you don't have to. You could succumb to sitting in cash in this nominal 5% and go around bragging about it like you're some kind of hero or something. You look like a schmuck.
What's a recession? A recession is when your neighbor loses their job, right? A depression is when you lose
a recession is when the economists tell you that the market's going to go down after the market's already actually bottomed, and it's already on the way up. That's in my experience, that's what a recession is.
And in fact, the academic definition of a recession used to simply be 2 straight quarters of negative GDP.
And when did we get that? 22? 2 years ago?
Was it 21?
It was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
All right.
But then they changed the definition. So now you're right, Spencer. Jobs have to be being lost as well.
You know how they moved the goalposts? There used to be this this energy drink called All Sport. Are you guys old enough to remember this?
Oh yeah.
And one of their commercials was that this drink is going to make you so good at sports that they're going to have to make the sports harder. So they would, in the commercial, they had like a moving basket, like in the basketball court, like the basket would move because you became so good drinking All Sport. That's what they did, right?
That's awesome.
It was so good. By the way, all it would do, because it was carbonated, all it would do is give you cramps. It was terrible. It was horrible. It was all sugar and crampy, like no good.
What was that crazy soda? Was it called Surge?
I was
Surge,
just
right?
thinking that, Steve.
Crystal Pepsi. Remember Crystal Pepsi?
Yeah, but nothing compares to Surge.
I don't even know the Surge.
Surge.
Am I too old for that?
Surge was so bad. The kids were so hopped up on Surge that my mom had to like write a letter in
Yeah.
to my day camp saying you can't sell this stuff. My kid is bouncing off the walls.
I don't think that ever made it down to Florida.
No, maybe not. Oh,
You know what? You know what did? I was just at the store and I said, Celsius for the first time. Never seen it here.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I love seeing good stocks out in the wild. You know,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I see it like when I travel and stuff. You know, like I'm in India and I was like, oh shit, ICICI Bank, I know that one.
Speaking of traveling and Asia, JC's getting all bulled up on Chinese stocks. He wants to be the first one to the party.
He does. All right, let's talk about it.
I have never said such a thing in my entire life.
Come on.
Come on. All right, let's get into it. Dow futures flat again. Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ futures all at 0.0. 2 days in a row, huh? How about that, huh? Stocks were up before, then they sold off when, the economists did their thing, and now they're back to kind of just flat. All right, so Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, all 0.00, Mr. Blutarski. Bond futures also flat as stocks and bonds continue to move together. Gold up 40 basis points, silver up 60 basis points, copper up 80 basis points, crude oil up 2%. How you doing? Dollar flat as the volatility index comes off a little bit, back down to 12.5 for the old VIX as the U.S. 10-year yield hangs out right around that 4% level. And then, of course, how can we have a market rundown without discussing what's happening in the old funny money? Bitcoin up another 400 points, 47,000. This was our target. We have literally been hitting it over the last 3 days. Kudos to everybody involved. One of the members yesterday in our portfolio accelerator took me literally when I said how irresponsibly long I wanted to be when Bitcoin broke out above 31. And he did just that. And he had size and made a lot of money. So shout out. And the rest of you, I know we've gotten a lot of messages and kind words. Kudos to you. And then on the old ETH, we got next, baby. ETH up 2%, 2,600 new highs as we speak, new 20-month highs for Ethereum. And correct me if I'm wrong, on the next in line for the ETFs, I would imagine has to be the old Solana, right?
Yes. So if we were to just put a wrap.
Next after next.
Yeah. So what JC's talking about is, there was this frenzy about the Bitcoin ETFs getting approved, and Ethereum is probably next in line. I would imagine it happens this year. These guys, when they want to get this done, they get it done real quickly. It could probably happen in the first half of this year because all the relationships are made. They've already filed once, you know what I mean? So I'd imagine it'd be a lot easier the second time around. The bottom line about all of this news, and it's like a Bitcoin celebration on the news this morning. All of these CEOs are coming on. I heard Grayscale. I just heard Kathy Wood. I missed Brian Armstrong first thing this morning. But the bottom line is that they're reacting well.
I'm sure he's pumped.
Right? New highs. The news is not being sold, so it's definitely not bearish. I think in terms of the altcoins, some nice moves today, but I want to see new short-term highs from a lot of these altcoins, and still a good ways off for most of them. Ethereum.
Aubrey Stobel with a funny tweet. I just wanted to share that. It was pretty hilarious. Why don't you here? Let me just throw up the quote there. Why isn't it working? Hold on, Spencer.
I mean, who would have thought that on the day that Bitcoin finally got its great news,
Ethereum,
its chief competitor Ethereum outperforms it in the biggest way it has since basically the middle of 2022?
Because now they're just assuming that they're going to list that one.
Yes.
Yeah. Wouldn't you?
Whatever they're assuming, I think it has more to do with what they're buying or selling. But the price action has been good so far here. You don't want to see Bitcoin roll over after something like this. I mean, remember?
Well, it just hit our target of 47,000. So would it be that out of the question to see some consolidation in Ethereum? And by the way, rotation, some consolidation in technology and in Bitcoin and rotation into Ethereum? That would make perfect sense to me.
I would definitely push back on you there because they've been consolidating for a month now, the whole space. You could argue longer for the bigger ones.
All right, throw it up, Spencer. There, throw up the funny meme.
They've been correcting.
Now on the on Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, that's really what I mean. Rotation doesn't mean Bitcoin can't go higher, but I could totally see a situation. I'd be surprised if Ethereum didn't outperform. I thought this was hilarious. This one comes from Aubrey Stobel. Shout out Aubrey. 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs. Elizabeth Warren says to Big G, and G says, Liz, I did the best I could. Okay.
Well, you know, the SEC is just on such a roll here after the Twitter hack debacle yesterday. Now, or 2 days ago. Now, yesterday, the announcement comes out. The website like freezes and falls apart. Everybody's on. I was doing a Spaces. They're trying to cover it live, and everybody was like scrambling to like pull up the file, and nobody could find it. Eric Balchunas finally tweeted something that started circulating, and then finally you got word. But the SEC website was like down during the whole thing. Then comments come out right after from Gensler.
Oh yeah, this is good. This is the best part.
While we approved the listing and trading of certain spot Bitcoin ETP shares today, exchange traded product, we did not approve or endorse Bitcoin. Just to be very clear, I mean, these guys just hate crypto in the most blatant way, and they can't even just approve these funds without saying something, without having to slander Bitcoin some more, even as they do it. So interesting.
Wait, I wish I had, or do I have it pulled up? There was an amazing. Oh, I may have closed it by mistake. Hester Pierce, is it the SEC commissioner who is like the most in favor of Bitcoin? She had some strong words yesterday
about who hating that it took so long and it wasn't her fault.
Yeah, basically like what are we even doing here? What was the point of the last 2 years? What was the point of all these man hours, all this money, all this time spent on rejecting these products? This has been a tremendous waste of time.
Good for her. Good for her.
Essentially, that was the gist of what she was saying.
I've never heard of this lady. I already like her. Drinks on me. What's her name?
Hester Pierce.
Hester Pierce. Miss Pierce. If you find me, omakase on me.
She's been pounding the table on this on this for a while now.
Good for her.
Here's a quote: "The SEC squandered a decade rejecting Bitcoin ETFs," and there was more. She had some fighting words. She was on fire. It was good to see.
Yeah, I like it. Bill Belichick. Bye, Felicia. Amazing what happens. Yeah, right? How shitty of a coach he is when he doesn't have the best quarterback of all time on his team.
Okay, that's a bad take.
That's okay. See ya, angry old man. All right. So, can we talk about you know what we're thinking here on the old ETH BTC? Can you throw that one up there? Slide 5.
I'm so tired of it.
I don't know why you're so tired of it. What is your problem? What is your problem? Tell me what your problem is with this. Tell me why you're so tired of a trend that hasn't even fucking started yet. Tell me why you're so tired about it.
And still, we talk about it every day.
Tell me why you're tired of it was 16% overnight. Just are you not entertained?
Is that perhaps why? Because it hasn't started.
Can you put up
16% 24 hours?
All right,
16.
Yeah. Can you put up my chart, Fonz? What I find interesting about the relationship here is that the last time the ETH BTC ratio was where it is today, it was trading at new multi-year lows, finding its bottom back in early 2022. Right, shown over there on the left-hand side of the screen. Then it experienced a nice
summer of 2022 when stocks bottomed.
A nice, however short, period of outperformance versus Bitcoin. Now it's already broken out of a base, coiling above the breakout level of that base. I'm talking about the absolute trend in the upper.
Oh, sorry.
Now.
Yes.
Right. This is a fresh breakout, a brand new uptrend. The reversal's in, and it's back here at support versus BTC, right, in the lower pane. So I think you get the same kind of move probably that you got last time at these lows, and maybe even more because the absolute trend is now in a place where we could expect it to move steadily higher over time. So yeah, let's see it now. The setup's there. Let's go. Yesterday was big.
Overnight. Is that no big deal?
Yesterday was big, right? That's that kind of momentum move, that really short-term momentum surge.
Is it thrusty? Can we use that word here?
Yes,
momentum thrust.
The kinds that you see at
Bonds, can you run it back and tell me, give me a 2-day. You want to do a 2-day look back? 2-day look back on the ETH BTC?
I got it right up here in front of me.
Best 2-day returns of all time, or knowing something like this, probably not.
So on a 2-day rate of change basis, you'd have to go all the way back to September or August of 21.
All right.
Yeah, it's big.
That's big. Does that qualify 30 months? It sounds Mike Hurley-ish, right? Mike Hurley-esque there, 30 months.
I mean, if you go back to prior cycles, though, got a lot of movement in this ratio. I don't know.
Like when they were trading for nothing. It's
and
a fair comparison. 3 years ago is a fair comparison.
Yeah, 2018 cycle.
Yeah. Also, in my experience, folks, in bull markets, you tend to see the best assets outperforming some of the worst ones. Can we take a look at what the NASDAQ 100 is doing against treasuries?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Did you guys, Spencer, did you see that analyst note? Because I was giving, I think, Bank of America a hard time yesterday. I was reading their note, bearish Magnificent Seven, listed tech as one of like the loser groups for this year. But then another one came out today. I think the analyst did a really nice job. They called Mega Cap Growth, Mag 7, the best looking houses on the cul-de-sac of the nicest block, in the market or something like that. And it's true. These charts still look the best.
New all-time highs for the NASDAQ relative to treasuries. Why don't you look at, so the Qs versus Boomer Bitcoin, new 52-week highs. How do we feel about that? NASDAQ making new highs relative to bonds and gold?
Yep.
No, you're not entertained?
Yeah, I am. X out Apple and Tesla. You could buy every one. They all look so good in the Magnificent Seven.
I'm glad that Denise is here to talk to trader psychology because you guys sound very jaded. I want her to psychoanalyze. Yeah, you guys are just like so numb at this point to important movements that I think that you guys are just like, yeah, just another day. I want to hear I want Denise to psychoanalyze you guys and tell you guys that you guys need to wake up.
You want me to be excited? You're charting the best assets in the world versus bonds and gold, and you want me to be like, ooh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do Turkish lira next. Let me see the NASDAQ 100 versus Turkish lira.
Now you're just being irresponsible. Dude, that lira, man. What is going on? I don't know what's going on. Like, I see the chart. Like, can someone explain to me what's happening out? Do you know, Strazza?
It's inflation.
Yeah, it's Turkey, man. Their economy is always.
Oh, is that where the Turkish lira comes? It comes from Turkey? All right. Nice solid value out there.
The Turkish central bank was like Erdogan was like at war with his own central bank, man. It's crazy.
Can we just throw up the chart of the Turkish lira? I mean, just what is this thing doing? Can you throw it up? Do we have it handy? Do we have a lira chart handy?
No.
That thing could break your monitor.
My computer screen is slowing down just because I'm trying to pull it up. That's how bad the Turkish lira is.
It falls too fast. It breaks the charting platforms.
Dude, it does, man. Look, so this is Turkish lira versus USD. Here, throw that up. Slide 10 there, Spencer. Look at that thing. Jeez Louise. So, like every day, it's just like, no, there's nothing.
Wow, that's a chart.
I mean, it has to be like a vertical chart just to be able to fit the whole collapse. You can't go horizontal on these guys, because then it just looks like doesn't do it justice.
Countries like this, and I just don't know enough. I hope I don't sound like an idiot here, but you would think that for the international ETF, right? So TUR, most international ETFs are denominated in their local currencies, right? Or they're priced back in dollars, but they're investing in stocks in their local currencies. So you get that currency impact. TUR looks fine, pretty good, right?
Is it in dollars?
So it must be in dollars, right? I'm sure that's what
That makes
happens
sense.
in these countries where they have such bad currency problems. The markets are just, denominated in dollars anyway. And I have a feeling that that's the same case with Argentina, because I was looking at ARGT the other day, and I thought that was strange too, right? Because that chart looks really good.
Listen, nobody cares about Istanbul. Can we talk about the emerging markets outside of China relative to emerging markets with China? So the EEM index represents 30% China. How you doing?
This is what Steve was talking about. Yeah.
How you feel about this one? Is this entertaining for you, or do you not care about this one too?
I'll fade that.
You'll fade this, or that means you're buying China. I'm kind of with you, bro.
I tried to give it to you. You didn't want it. I was buying China yesterday.
What'd you buy?
TME calls. I already had some.
Whoa. TME. Okay, that doesn't count.
Bought me some more.
No, that doesn't count. TME is like the exception that makes the rule. Everything in China sucks except Pinduoduo, and they're based in Dublin.
But there's other good-looking ones.
What, the educational ones?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's it. But then that's it after that.
Yeah, there's a handful.
Okay. Right, 4. Less than a handful.
we can't keep talking about PDD every day.
Why not? Keeps going up every day. Are you not entertained?
No, I'm going to go through the full universe today, and we'll talk about.
Denise, you're going to have to school these kids. They don't know.
All right.
And she just wants to talk about EVs and Disney and economic data all day.
And she wants to talk about SPACs and pot stocks and shit coins.
Look, since you asked, I may or may not have bought a pot stock yesterday, but we won't even go there. All right. It is 8:54. We're going to bring on Denise Shull in about 5 or so minutes. Very light on the news front this morning. We did have KB Homes report earnings. Was it last night? I'm pretty sure it's last night, not this morning. Yeah, it was last night. EPS beat $1.85 versus $1.69. Sales came in higher as well, $1.67 billion versus a $1.62 billion estimate. They gave housing revenue guidance in the mid to high $6 billion range. Midpoint is $6.6 billion. Their number of homes delivered in the quarter down 10% year over year. Delivered about 3,400 homes last quarter. That's not the direction we want to be going in. We need more houses, not less. All right. Anyway, stock was quiet. This isn't going to be a huge
more houses.
People like me who want to buy a house. The KB Home is not typically a huge pre-market mover. It is down this morning, about $3 or $4, but we'll find out a lot more at the open.
I would imagine these guys are dealing with some tough comps.
What? No.
Why not?
No one's that's the point, is they have not been building houses. The home builders have been building far fewer houses.
You don't think they were building more than they were in Q4 of 2022? Right? Because that's what this quarter's results are being compared against.
No, I don't see why they would. I can see why they would have had easy comps last year because of supply chain problems, but I can't see why they would have tough comps this time around.
Well, mortgage rates coming down the way that they did during the fourth quarter of this year. I don't know. I thought it would have been.
Yeah, but there's so much. I think we discussed this yesterday. There's so much underneath demand for single family housing in this country. Whatever. The point is,
I was talking to a mortgage broker yesterday. He says he took the whole year off last year and spent like 3 months in Greece and he just didn't do shit.
Yep.
There's more.
I thought that was pretty funny.
There's more real estate agents in this country that are licensed than there are homes for sale.
Dude, that's the funniest thing ever. You want to talk about adjusting for inflation? There's an inflation in the amount of real estate agents. Are you kidding me? What do we need so many real estate agents for?
And you'll hear similar stories from them. Like we're pals, friend of the show, and All Star Charts with one down here, and he's just hanging out these days. Very little work to do. He doesn't mind though.
Yeah.
$15 billion Chinese internet content and information.
You guys remember Baozun?
No.
BZ?
BZUN.
Is that the bad guy from Mario Brothers?
I haven't looked at that one in a long time, and I'm thinking China things here this morning. I'm looking for Chinese stocks.
The Year of the Dragon. I don't know if you heard.
BZUN. This was a favorite. I mean, this one was a big deal 10 years ago. It's like a Kramer favorite, too. Looks like a zero now. It's tiny. But this used to get grouped in, thrown in conversations with JD and Baba. I think it's also internet marketplace, online retail.
Baidu looks less terrible than some of those. You notice?
Yeah. J Spit Trades. We really like the 10-cent music. What'd you say? Baidu? Yeah.
Yeah. Why does Baidu look less terrible than some of these? Here, throw up slide 2 before we bring in Denise to have one of my favorite types of conversations. There you go. Look at that chart. That's a great chart right there, if I do say so myself.
What do we got? Oh.
No?
Oh, yeah.
You like that, Strazza? Well, you bought it yesterday, so obviously you like it.
So what's the deal? Tencent, the conglomerate owns a large piece or a majority of this. Is that right? Probably.
I don't know, Spencer. They
Okay.
spun it off.
Fine.
Whether they still own shares or not, I don't know.
Okay. Just asking. It's a good chart.
I think it's a great chart.
It's clean. $9.
It looks like a lot of these other charts basing in the first half of last year, continuing to base, right? I mean, how many charts look exactly like this? I mean, we keep saying it again and again. And you want to talk about something that we say every single day.
And then what did you see on the internet that you shared in the chat? That was just call volume on what? China index?
On the FXI. Yeah, major call volume on the FXI. You want to drop that in there quick?
I like this stuff.
You like call volume?
Yeah.
Would this be thrusty or would this be exhaustive?
I don't know. I need the data. I hate looking at other people's charts.
I know. And plus they're so ugly usually too. Here, throw up slide 3. It's not our charts, somebody else's charts. It's really ugly. But it makes the point. I mean, what can I tell you? I mean, not everybody has as nice of charts as we do. I mean, it's just what it is.
Oh, God. I can't wait to do Hot Corner later. You're gonna love
you got to tell it like it is. Like,
Mhm.
like my kids are way cuter than a lot of other kids, right? So like, I could pretend that they're not, but it's just true.
Look at the lines on this.
Even Spencer's charts are nicer than this.
Was this made on like a computer from 50 years ago?
I don't know, dude. You should have seen this chart that Fami brought on the podcast last week with JB and Batnick. And it was like from 1990. It was like faxed in. Oh my God, the abuse that came on.
We saw. It was funny.
Yeah. Well,
all
right, go ahead.
Should we bring on Denise or say what you're gonna say?
No, I'm gonna save it. We're gonna talk about the SEC when we do the filing talk later.
All right, I like it. Bring on Denise. She's great.
All right, Denise Shull, founder of the ReThink Group, and we're ready. Let's do it.
Yo, Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Hey, Denise.
JC, how are you?
What is happening?
You tell me.
Oh, you know, just I keep being told that we're going into recessions and the yield curve and the M2 and all the Trump and all the things, and the stocks keep just grinding higher. Humans love fighting trends. Denise, what's up with that?
I don't know. I guess it's the proverbial wall of worry, really. I mean, I have all kinds of clients who couldn't believe we were going up last year. And, you know, these guys are pros, or let's just put it, they're managing institutional money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, we have the data. We see professional investors making the same mistakes that retail investors are making. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's because they're both human. How close?
Yeah, that's the thing that is really like people don't understand, that like these guys, mostly guys, there are a few women, but they may manage billions of dollars for hedge funds you've heard of, but it's not like they know really more than you do, or that it's really any easier for them from a confidence fear point of view. I mean, they struggle all the time with what do they actually believe in? What are they confident in? They think they're confident in something. The price action doesn't act the way they want. They second guess themselves. It's not, they're human. Yeah.
I love having these conversations with you. I tell you this every time. Over the years, I've come to understand and appreciate truly the power of psychology and what we're even doing here. We're not trying to buy good companies or sell bad companies. At the end of the day, we're trying to overcome our own flaws. And I have tried to take that to a whole nother extreme over the years through my studies of recognizing those flaws in others and understanding where the pain is and stepping on it and taking advantage of it, right? Because they say you shouldn't kick someone when they're down, but the truth is it's actually the best time to kick someone when they're already down, right? So if you find where that pain is, it presents tremendous opportunity. How do you feel about all that?
Well, so there was a study done at Caltech in 2007 or 8. It was actually a PhD dissertation by an electrical engineer, if you can believe that. But Caltech has this group of neuroeconomics, which is really let's study the brain watching the stock market for all practical purposes. And what that study ended up showing is people who were the best traders, who could read price action the best, were using the parts of their brain associated with thinking about other people.
Nice.
It's called theory of mind in psychology. I have a theory of your mind, which is what you were just saying, the pain trade. It actually showed, much to the chagrin of many people, that math wasn't really going on for these people who were good at reading short-term price. But when I first started trading in the 90s in Chicago in a prop firm, these guys that had come from the floor who were really good traders would talk about, can't you see he's doing that? And can't you see they are doing that? And I was like, who's the he and who's the
they? Right.
Because I was looking at these numbers on the screen going, who's that? But then, fast forward 15 years after that, and that study came out, and it explained why, some people just have that ability to read it. We talk about reading the tape, and I mean, you use the charts, which are just a reflection of all the prices it's traded at, which is a reflection of everyone's behavior, right?
You said it, not me.
I actually have a 15-year portfolio manager at a hedge fund every single person has heard a lot about, that said to me the other day, do you think I should try to learn to read a chart this year? And I said, yes, I think you probably should. I think it will help you on your entry and exit timing, and I think it might help you on your sizing. But somebody in the business that had done this for 15 years successfully without ever reading a chart.
Tell him to call me. Give him 10 minutes.
I did.
You did?
I did, actually.
Call JC. Give him 10 minutes with me. That's all he needs, or I imagine it's a he. But how about just identifying trends, right? What a chart's great for. We know for a fact, not my opinion, that asset prices trend. We know they're not random. So you could recognize those trends in charts. Charts are actually very helpful for that, right?
Yeah.
Denise, when these hedge fund managers come and they talk to you, what are their problems? Are they coming in? Are they complaining about things on the portfolio team and how it's going at work? Or are they talking to you about things at home or whatever else is going on in their lives?
They end up talking to me about everything. So when I start with somebody, I want to know what it feels like to be them in their world. And that includes do they have an ex-wife with a couple of kids? Do they have young kids? Are they,
are they about to have an ex-wife? Right. That's also.
Yeah. I actually have one in that category. But I know a couple things. The human brain is always predicting. Right now, everybody's predicting the next words coming out of our mouths based on the knowledge of English language and the subject matter. That's the latest neuroscience. Always predicting, and always predicting, will I be safe or not? Which is, will I feel good or bad? So you start to look at someone's, like, them in their world, their life, their decisions, and you help them start to see they have these patterns of predictions, which are really patterns of expectations. Like, will this go my way? Will it not go my way? You know, if I made a bunch of money, will I be able to hold on to it? And so I help them to see what those patterns are. And oftentimes, like, if there's something going on in their personal life or they feel, you know, frustrated or out of control or whatever, it'll morph over into how they feel about their positions.
Yeah. It's all very related.
Yeah.
You can't,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's very hard to, you know, compartmentalize, particularly in trading, because trading's unlike anything else. Like, it's completely it really is technically, I mean, it's the future, first of all. None of us know what's going to happen this afternoon, period, right? Like, philosophically. Like, but in trading, unlike anything else, anything can happen. You know, like, I live in Park City, it's snowing. There is, you know, no chance in the entire universe it's going to be 80 degrees and sunny this afternoon. But, like, in the market, that kind of change can happen.
Yeah.
Well, that plays tricks on your predictive brain.
Right.
So it's a different mental problem than anything else, including sports. Like, all the sports analogies don't work, because in sports you're supposed to make something happen, and, you know, here you're supposed to ride the wave. So maybe it's a little bit like surfing.
Well, what about as a baseball player? Wait for your pitch. That works.
Yeah, but I mean, baseball probably in some ways can be a little bit closer, because you don't necessarily know what the guy's going to do with the pitch, but you still, I mean, it's still your job to hit the ball and make it happen. You can't really, like, hit the ball and guarantee it happens in this business.
Yeah, you wait for your pitch and take a big daddy hack. That's it.
It's just a different mental problem that people don't appreciate. Like, they think they make decisions on their analysis. They don't make decisions on their analysis.
Well, Annie Duke puts it really nicely, where she says, because she compares the investing and trading into poker, where you're making decisions with incomplete information, and you have incomplete information.
And to take that one step further, you're going to make or lose money in poker, not on the actual cards, but you're betting against how people are betting their cards.
Yeah.
That's the theory of mind that does translate. I mean, at the end of the day, you lay the cards down and they mean what they mean. And you don't have that certainty in the market, because, you know, the price can be this one moment and a completely different price 1 minute later for some crazy news reason, right? That's not going to happen in poker. But I'm saying, I'm kind of harping on this a little bit to get people to think about, like, the mental challenge of trading is so unique that to get more aware of the predictions you're making, partly based on your market experience, but also based on your self-image and other things going on in your life, like, it gives you end up with a wider choice of behavior. You won't be as compelled to, like, you know, make up for that trade you just lost, if you realize you're predicting whatever, something, you know, dire that's not really going to happen, but you don't realize you're predicting it, and so then you, like, overreact.
When traders or managers come to you and they're bummed they had a bad year, they haven't been performing well, how often do you see that it's the case of just a process that isn't being followed, or a lack of discipline? And is that something that, like, you can help more with for them?
Is this a lack of discipline? I don't usually think it's a lack of discipline. I mean, people can, you know, follow their process more or less on given days, and they can be impulsive. Like I've had two real pros with long backgrounds in, like, fixed, you know, rates trades, you know, swaps and whatnot. And they tend to trade currencies. Now, they're related, but they're not their core expertise. Well, they have a strange thing where they feel more pressure to trade well in their core expertise. So they find it easier to trade currencies because it's like a one-off, and they feel like, well, if I don't get the currency trade perfect, it's not the thing I'm supposed to be an expert in.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
So like with one of these guys, I helped him realize, wait a minute, you have like, there's like 5 other traders in the world who have your experience. He ran a repo desk at a bank. And I'm like, so you're going to see these things before, you know, the other million people out there. Like, you're putting all this pressure on yourself, but the truth is you can see the factors interacting earlier. So your, oh, I have to do this perfectly and I'm not, is the wrong perception of it. That's the thing I end up usually doing, is people have a perception of the mistake they're making, and it's usually their perception of the mistake is wrong. Like they play out this self-image thing, and they're just not seeing themselves or their situation accurate. I'm always talking about, like, let's see it accurately, whatever it is.
Do you think that does that happen in an honest way, or more of a dishonest way because we don't want to, you know, be real with ourselves maybe when we're doing silly things with our trading?
You know, first of all, you have to take the fact that my clients are self-selecting, right? So like I mean, like, I have a couple analysts today that work for a fund that they were encouraged to talk to me. But 95% of my clients are portfolio managers who said, like, I want to get a coach and I want to work with Denise because she does this senses, feelings, and emotions thing. So most of them want to see it.
Yeah.
Now, people do have defense mechanisms where they're afraid of knowing something about themselves, or more specifically, afraid of feeling a certain feeling. And so they wander around it, let's just say. But the only person I have that's really, like, not into knowing what he hired me to help him know is a private equity guy, not a portfolio manager.
Okay.
Denise, I got a good question. You know, men and women are very different, and you know, you hear, and we have different. Look at her eyes. Where's he going with this? No, men and women are very different. We think very different, right? You know, you hear a lot how women traders, as few as there are, have an advantage over men. Do you buy that, or is it just that men and women have different kind of flaws, or flaws are maybe stronger in men than there are in women, and then women have different kinds of flaws than men? How do you think about that?
My experience is that the female portfolio managers are a little less inclined to even think about, nevertheless care or react about what the competition is doing. They're just thinking, like, okay, this is my form of analysis. This is what I see. Like, this is what I'm going to trade. Where the guys will worry a little bit more about, like, I know these guys are, like, heavily into Baidu, you know, and like, what am I missing? And they'll just get to them more.
That's interesting.
It's ego then.
Well, it's really fear of missing out, which is really, you know, fear of missing out. Like, most people can feel it, like, you know, but if you think about it, it's really fear of future regret. Like, I'm going to miss it.
Right.
I'm not going to make the money. I'm going to feel like an idiot relative to my buddy hedge fund down the street.
And then when we're having drinks in a few weeks, I'm going to feel left out because they're going to be talking about how much money, right? Like that.
Yeah.
And women don't have that FOMO?
Not vis-a-vis other women portfolio managers. Women are
What about male portfolio managers?
Right? I haven't seen it. Like, I think it is frankly so tough to be a woman as a portfolio manager. Like, I have a brilliant woman who opened her own fund, raised a lot of capital, like, and her analysts were just way more, give her way more pushback than they would have if she was a guy. Like, they just felt like perfectly entitled to argue with her, even though she's, like, been a brilliant portfolio manager she was an analyst, but she was brilliant while she was an analyst for like 17 years. And I was just, like, stunned. I was like, I can't believe these guys will, like, argue with you over your analysis. Like,
what about the conservative nature of women? Are they less inclined to be as aggressive as the male PMs that, you know, tend to go out and kill and you know, go hunt and everything like that, and the women, you know, kind of staying back, more protective? Do you see that?
Well, I mean, like if I think of myself when I started trading and I was at Schoenfeld sitting next to Dmitry Balyazny, he turned, you know, I don't know how many billions of dollars he has to run now, but I was more meticulous about the rules, like about taking my stops and like being focused. Like we used to have this thing at Schoenfeld where you had to read out fills for the desk because whatever, this is 1995. And when I got my job to read out the fills, I got really upset. I was like, I can't do that. I don't have the bandwidth to do that, you know? So in my example is like, I was the good girl crossing the T's, dotting the I's, taking my stops. But the female portfolio managers I've got, you know, they have 17. I have one that's got like 25 years experience. You know, they've been through the wars, right? So they've developed a lot more confidence in themselves. And they, like I have one team, you guys were talking China. I have one team where there's a male and female joint portfolio managers. The male was really aggressive China last year. And she was like, nope.
Because she was probably looking at the charts and he wasn't.
Nope. And they worked together, but I'd meet with them separately and they'd sort of joke about each other. You know, we know what happened with China last year. So
Denise,
I don't know.
Can we get back to these thinking about what other people are thinking about? Because that's really, it really hits home for me. I guess I hadn't really thought about it the way that you just said it. So I'm really, really fascinated by this. We're constantly thinking about what other people are doing because we have the data. So like coming into last year, sell side strategist consensus was that the market was going to fall. I look at that as a screaming buy signal, right? Like we're not just going to go blindly buy everything because of that, but man, I'm going to lean that way and look a hell of a lot closer. And then in the second half of the year, so like in June, they doubled down on that position after the best first 6 months in the history of the NASDAQ. So the pain was higher, and now they're coming out with their year-end targets for 24. They're still looking at a flat year. So like, to me, like we're constantly seeing that. You saw it at the end of October, right? End of October, incredibly bearish. CTAs were super short. You know, all of these sentiment indicators were extremely pessimistic. And what happened? We got 5,000 point rally in 2 months in the Dow. You know, so I'm constantly looking at that. Help me think through this.
Well, let's use like new highs as an example. So, you know, some people are just compulsively, you know, inclined to fade new highs, right? To sell new highs. But if you think about that, it's like everyone who's long is happy and has no pressure to sell. And everyone who's not long either wants to be in, or if they're short, they have one choice: buy.
Right. So
like people don't think about prices from that sort of, I mean, you called it the pain trade, and we do call it the pain trade, but that's just a fact. Like if you're in something that's at new highs or near new highs or new highs for a relevant period, like maybe not all time, but you know,
52 weeks.
Yeah. Right. So the people who are going to be most urged to do something are the people on the wrong side of the trade. Sorry. You got to remember that. Like one thing I always say to my clients is, so who's going to push it in the direction you need it to go for what reason? I do say that particularly when I think they're wrong.
Nice.
You know, but it's like, okay, you're in this at this price. You need more people to come in and move that price further in your direction. What's going to make them do that? That's a little harder to do it.
It's men and
FOMO. But, you know, like these guys usually are, you know, very cognizant of like the news cycle and, you know, the Fed and whatnot. But you can do it on anything. Like, you know, classic thing is middle of the day, prices are kind of stuck in a range, you know, and it's like never sell a dull market. Well, why never sell a dull market? Like you're sitting there, you want to do something, you justify, well, the price can't seem to go up. It can't seem to break out. So it must be a short. So like, you know, everybody sits there and traders are inclined to be short more than they're inclined to be long. And so then they sell it. So what? You have all this built-in buying. And then you get just a little bit of buying. The price ticks up, like, and then it it ticks up a lot, takes out the short, the very short term. I'm talking intraday shorts, because people were sitting there bored, justifying that it couldn't go up, except it was like, 12:30 in the afternoon in New York. And then what happens? Pops up, and then it drops down because all the buyers are gone. Don't do that. Like, if anything, if you have to trade in the middle of the day when there's not much going on, just buy a little and just see what happens.
Go for a walk.
Say again?
Go for a walk.
Go for a walk. At Schoenfeld, I mean, granted, this is a long time ago, but like in Chicago, as day traders, we were not allowed to trade between 11 a.m. and 1:30.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Love that,
Like,
Denise.
I used to go to the gym, take a swim, take a little nap, get back to the office. It was like a completely new day. And Dmitry Balyazny, who now runs 12, however many billions of dollars he's got, used to lie down on the floor and read a book. It's just not worth it. Yeah. Are there 2 or 3 times a year where some great move happens in the middle of the day? Sure. But overall, it's not worth it.
I love that.
Steve Cohen at SAC would on most days go for a walk during lunchtime with some analyst or PM. They go for a long walk around the campus.
You just get sucked into things, and maybe you don't lose that much money, but you waste money. And you waste psychological capital. You waste your mental capital. And you need mental capital. You need the kind of energy to be able to predict and separate the predictions that are about you versus the ones that are really about the market. That's the ultimate goal for people. Like, you have all these feelings, senses, feelings, emotions. Some of those feelings are your expertise. They are pattern recognition. They are confidence in the pattern you're seeing. A lot of the feelings are about you. You want to trade on the feelings about the price.
Right.
Separate out the feelings about yourself. It's a skill to learn to do that. But you can learn to do it. And it just requires listening to yourself and categorizing your feelings and learning which ones are about the price and which ones are about other things.
And just being in tune and extra mindful of what you're thinking and how you're thinking throughout the day, right? Zooming out a little bit every now and then on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Any big things while we have you here, which is great. Thank you so much for coming, Denise. This is great. Every time you join us for stuff, I freaking love this stuff. What are we missing here? We talked about a lot of important things. You made some great points. Is there something big here that we're not talking about?
Well, the big thing is people always say, control your emotions, take the emotions out of it. An emotion alone never made or lost a dime.
Mm-hmm.
It's
the reaction to those emotions, right?
Yes. So think of I call it senses, feelings, and emotions. It's all just bodily information. A scientist will call it visceral intelligence. Think of it as information. Think of it as a data set, and decide that you're going to learn to navigate your internal data set in a way that gets you more of what you want, which is find the feeling that's really about the market, and the ones that are about anything else you learn to hold in your hand over here. You don't try to get rid of the feelings, you just learn to have them and not act on them, while you can listen to your feelings about your analysis. So confidence, you can navigate because you do believe this chart, this pattern in this time frame. While you're, whatever, you got a tax bill, or you got, you lost over here in, a longer term investment. You can just have your feelings about that in one hand and trade through the feelings, which are really predictions about the market in the other. That makes sense.
It does. It's fantastic. I love this. By the way, how long have you been in Park City now?
How long have I been in Park City? About 18 months. We left New York.
It's just like Chicago, right?
I was in Chicago, then I was in New York for 24 years, and then we left during the pandemic, went to Sun Valley, Idaho, which does not get very much snow. Who would think that Sun Valley, Idaho does not get very much snow?
I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, you wouldn't have thought that. Well, anyway, I'm not having spent my whole life wanting to move to a ski town, and then they only get 125 inches of snow. So we moved down here. Yeah.
And so you've been there for 18 months. And how many days you got in so far on the slopes?
This year, not very. Last year I got 66 days.
Wow. Good for you.
But the snow it just started to really snow this week. So I think
66. Wow.
I think I'm only up to 12 at the moment. So
Only. It's January the 11th. You got 12 days in so far. I don't feel bad for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. So you like it? You're happy there?
Oh my God. It's too good to be true.
Yeah.
It's too good to
Let's
be
go
true.
visit Strazza. Let's go visit Denise in Park City.
I would love to.
Do you only ski like Park City canyons, or do you venture to Alta?
Well, I love Snowbird, but we have to drive over there. And but I have been to Snowbird once already this year. But literally, Park City is like 4 minutes that way. So I primarily ski Park City.
Good for you. I'm happy for you, Denise. It's great.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me. I actually have to talk to a guy who owns an Asian currency trading fund in Singapore in 3 minutes. So
we appreciate you joining us. I feel like we should pay you for this session. Right, JC? I mean,
she's like, yeah, you should be paying me.
You can pay me. But I do have to jump. Thank you.
All right, Denise. Go do your thing. Thank
Okay.
you so much. You're awesome.
You're welcome. Bye.
A lot of requests in the chat for weekly appearances from Denise. I don't think we can get Denise weekly, but we can certainly get her back on the show.
Great.
That was great.
She's great. I've known Denise for years. She's been on the podcast. I don't think we've ever actually met in person, which is a bummer. So I guess that means we're going to have to go out to Park City. What do you think? A little Charge Summit Park City action?
Maybe.
Originally, we were going to choose Park City. I forget why we chose Breckenridge. Park City is way easier to get to than Breck.
Breckenridge was a pain. Beautiful pain in the ass.
It is. It's a Park City. You literally land and you're on the slopes in an hour. Like
that's more my style.
It's amazing. A lot easier instead of flying into Denver, getting on a freaking shuttle, going out west.
Is Park City? Is that where Sundance is?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Never been. Would love to go to Park City.
It's awesome. The snow is so fluffy. It's so soft. It's like soft snow. It's not like the hard snow that you're gonna get like in Tahoe, for example,
or the ice of the East Coast,
or New Jersey for that matter. That's right. That's right.
No, I ski in Vermont, sir. Okay, I'm not at the bottom.
It's called icing, I believe. It's called icing.
Vermont is the cream of the crop for the East Coast. It's the best we got. So,
and it ain't great, but I do love Stowe. Beautiful little town. I just wanted to say, I love this stuff, as you guys can obviously tell. Clearly, the chat does as well. Denise is one of the best in the business, no question. Because Tahoe does not suck, Yako. I take offense to that. Lake Tahoe might be the most beautiful place I've ever been to in my life. I love Lake Tahoe. The snow is not as soft and fluffy as it is in Park City. But I'll take Tahoe over Park City any day of the week. So don't even start with me. And the summers in Tahoe, forget about it. Anyway, my point is, because I love this stuff so much, and you guys clearly do as well, I'm going to go out of my way. I'm going to call Annie Duke later today, actually. I'm going to invite her. She's fantastic. Love Annie Duke. Those of you who have not read Thinking in Bets, I highly encourage you to read Thinking in Bets. And then her next book is, I think, like Making Better Decisions or something like that. Also great. Read Thinking in Bets first, then go to the next one. Brett Steenbarger, we've been trying to get Dr. Brett on. Dr. Brett is very busy.
Dr. Brett is got side projects for his side projects.
Yeah, so. Dr. Brett's a busy guy. Great. You know what we can do? We can get Andrew Menaker. Andrew Menaker, fantastic. So just a quick little story. So Dr. Brett Steenbarger had a lot of trader clients, everything like that, and was a trader psychology coach. And then Paul Tudor Jones one day said, hey, you only work for me now. Fire the rest of your clients. And you don't say no to PTJ. So then all of Dr. Brett's clients went to Andrew Menaker. Andrew Menaker lives in San Francisco. Great. Spencer, if I don't, I'll introduce you guys and you guys get him on the show. Cool. Because you guys love this sort of stuff. So I will go out of my way to bring more. I didn't realize you guys like this stuff so much.
This is amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I got some guys. And gals, as you can see here. So yeah, I promise I will do a better job.
Fantastic. So thank you again to Denise. We will get her back on. I don't know, next quarter, something like that. But fantastic.
We're gonna go to her. We're going to Park City. Let's go.
Fantastic conversation.
Yeah.
All right. 9:31 opening bell. Where are we at out there?
Dow futures up 35 points. S&P futures up 7 handles, 14 basis points. NASDAQ futures up 30 bips, about 50 points. Bond futures 30-year is flat. Gold up 40 bips, silver up 30 bips, copper up 30 bips, crude oil up 2.5%. As the dollar up a little bit with the volatility index down to 12.5 and the U.S. 10-year yield hovering around 4%. Looking over at the old funny money, of course, we've got, drum roll please, Bitcoin up a G note, 47,600, 2% on the day. Ethereum, I'm really interested in how this thing reacts around 47. Really hovered around here over the last couple of days. Ethereum up 1.5%, up towards 26.22. And then finally, Solana up 2%, back above 100, hanging out right around 104. Total crypto market cap, Mr. Strazza, 1.76 trillion. That is a new 52-week high in total crypto market cap.
Yep.
What'd you think of Denise? Is she awesome or what?
So good.
So,
what was?
And we all need more of that. So we should try to. I just heard your guys' conversation. Do more of those interviews.
I agree. I didn't realize you guys would love it so much. I love this shit.
What was the highlight of that for you, both of you?
I like that she likes that I think about what other people are thinking about.
Of course, Of course, your favorite part was something that she liked about you.
Well, it helps. It helps confirm that I'm in the right direction. Like, it's not like I'm overthinking other people's thinking, but I'm actually moving in the right. Yeah, that was my favorite part. That she reiterated that I should be doing those things. Great. I like doing those things.
I like how she kind of differentiates between the thoughts and the feelings that we have. Some of them are like green light, yes, listen to those, and the other ones are the complete opposite. Like, get the hell out of here. Ignore those.
If you're going through a divorce, just go to cash.
It's good. It's
right?
Good advice.
Not financial advice.
That's Totally.
If I gave financial advice, that would be some of the advice I would give. If you're going through a divorce, go to cash.
All right.
That's pretty good.
It ain't worth it. Do you see they gave Eric Spoelstra $120 million, but they waited for the divorce to close?
Good for them. Yep.
Heat culture, Miami Heat culture, looking out for your own, looking out for your fam.
100%.
You know, right?
Yeah, I did see that. 100%.
We got a little bit about that heat culture at all sorts charts, right?
I didn't realize the timeline there.
Oh yeah, it was very intentional.
Intentional. They waited for the divorce to close, and then they gave him $120 million.
All right.
Good for them.
Strazza, you wanna do your hot corner?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right.
Let's go.
Hot corner. So hot right now.
Did you guys read any of this incredibly boring legal document that I sent to you in the chat this morning?
I pretended like you didn't even send it.
JC's like, I didn't even see it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I knew you wouldn't. I wouldn't expect you to, and you probably wouldn't understand it anyway. But
even better,
everyone, I encourage, and Spencer, drop it right in the chat. I want everybody to see like what we're dealing with here. This is no different. So this is a SEC interpretation from a law firm of some new amendments. And whether it's IRS, SEC, FINRA, this is the way regulations go. They are nuanced. They're a pain in the ass. There's this amendment, that amendment. They're confusing. They're not black and white in terms of rules. For example, before we jump into this, you're seeing it being falsely reported all over the internet today that Warren Buffett just bought more Oxy. He did not. The last time he purchased Oxy was late December, and that was covered in a Form 4. Berkshire, I'm presuming, is so used to having to file 13Gs at the end of the calendar period. They do that for most of their position because they're passive. If you're over 20%, you're automatically a D. I think they filed the D thinking that they had.
Are you automatically a D if you're over 20?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Fun fact.
I think they just got confused and figured we'd rather be safe than sorry. They didn't need to file this, but it got filed anyway, and now it's being reported that they just bought shares. It's not. So go through this. It is interesting. Big news for us. Why am I so excited about this? They're accelerating the filing deadlines in large part. So scroll right down. They do a really nice job with like a little matrix here of showing you how it used to be, how it is now. Let's just pay attention to the 13D. Used to be 10 days after 5%. Now it's 5 days, getting closer and closer to the Form 4s, which are so good because they're 2 days. Any material change now, they have 2 days, right? After the triggering event, as they call it. Also, a little bit stricter here. It used to be, listen to this. When did they have to file? Promptly after the triggering event. What does that mean? Promptly after. Right. That was the deadline.
Great. That's wonderful.
Thank God. Now it's 2 days, but this is kind of what we're up against, right? We don't know exactly when they're coming, if they get forgotten about, if one gets filed by accident or incorrectly. All that stuff happens a lot here with these filings. So they're tightening up the 13s a little bit, and that's super exciting. Another one that I know JC is going to love is just a completely different side of things here, but with these new amendments, no more handwritten forms. They finally have a legibility requirement, the SEC. And I don't think I've ever seen a bad Schedule 13 or Form 4, but you see it with the political filings all the time. Like just chicken scratch on these forms, like literally faxed in.
Yep.
And you can't even read them. We were talking about the ugly chart before, the call volume chart, and I was thinking of some of these forms, how it's crazy. So the SEC is getting on top of that, which I thought was funny because it's something we joke about internally.
Wait, so just to confirm, these are new rules that have gone into effect now?
Yeah, in effect. Because I'm sitting here and I said, boy, these forms are coming too fast. And then I saw the Oxy one. I said, why did that even get filed? So I looked up new rules and I didn't even know this had happened, but this is a few months old now.
Honestly, I'm kind of disappointed in you that it's taking you this long to talk about what the Baker Bros just did.
So we've been discussing it since really last week now. Baker Bros just got paid.
They're making it rain out there, bro. They are putting it to work.
So you know how that works. You ever own a stock in your account that gets acquired for cash? Cash money, baby.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
But that's how it works. Literally, they're just gonna wake up one day. That deal is gonna close, and they're gonna have $10 billion of cash in their account. And you better believe, as the best biotech investors.
But don't they already have? Hold on. Don't they already have it in their account? Like, if they really wanted to put money to work, can't they just borrow that, knowing it's coming?
Borrowed against it, 100%. Yeah. So maybe I think this money is probably already. Yeah. You're right, JC. There's financing stuff going on at these big institutions and hedge funds all the time. Kanye
West said that. Right? What was the exact quote? Always spending money before you got it.
The bottom line is there's some powder there in whatever form it's in, and now they have $10 billion of uninvested AUM that used to be invested, and they got to reinvest it, and they probably want to do it pretty quick. They have a huge list, right, of holdings already. We read through some of them yesterday. We talked about Immunocore as what I think is a pretty obvious one to catch some funds. One that you're not going to see on the list today. You might see it, on your market data forum or on StockTwits. BCEL. We're not going to cover it or add it to our list because it's a $4 million stock. I think it's like a $10 million stock now because it was up 100% yesterday on the Baker Bros filing news. So they are trickling money in. They filed 3 new 13Gs. Chimera is one of them. Breaking multi-year downtrend line. Is this one new? Go back to the table. I had to look through all of them. Now, Chimera's, yeah, it is old, but I think they doubled their position in this one just since kind of last year, over the past 12 months. So 13G amendment, the way that those work is the Gs are 45 days after the calendar end of the year, right? So they could have made these purchases, we don't know when, but they are updating us of their ownership percentage here. So all big positions. The one that stands out the most is this REPL. Throw that chart up. This is the JC special. I think there's a decent short interest in this as well.
The JC special.
I think I saw about 15%.
No big deal.
Short. So
sounds like something you'd order at a Chinese restaurant. Yes.
9 keeps coming up.
Extra fried rice.
9 on the 10-cent music. 9 on the Replimune. This one is big enough. If you want to take a shot. Biotechs are hot. This one's catching some Baker Bros flows. Above 9.
Now.
Yeah. And there was one more too, but it was also too small. The point is they're already deploying that cash. I think we're going to see a lot more Baker Bros in the coming weeks and months.
Baker Bros. I got a couple of past due bills. Won't get specific. I got a problem with spending before I get it. We all self-conscious. I'm just the first to admit it.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that one.
Are we allowed to talk about Kanye West, or are we gonna get canceled for that? Didn't he apologize to the Jewish community? I think he did recently.
That was like 3 apologies ago, but yeah, he apologized in Hebrew.
Wow.
Anyway,
are we allowed to wear Yeezys again or no?
I don't know. Well, look, it's never.
I got abused for wearing Adidas, like on a podcast. You're like, look at this guy with his Adidas. I was like,
really? I'll decide my own 2 cents. Never a bad idea to look at the pipelines of these companies and just see how far along they are. Right? A, how many programs do they have? B, how far along are they in those programs? Are they in phase 1? Are they in phase 3? It matters.
Okay, and then I'll say this about that. You're probably going to do more harm than good. You're going to think you know something. Go ahead, go look at their pipeline. How is Spencer? Here's the problem with that.
I can't even spell pipeline.
99% of people, that's not going to help. For me, it's Baker Bros owns it. They check the pipeline. They more than check the pipeline.
Of course they do.
And that's it.
To me, though, later pipeline just means later stage. Is all that means, right?
You tend to get the biggest news on the phase 2. The phase 2.
Yeah, that's true. That's also true.
Final, not the phase 3.
That's also true.
Typically already priced in. So if you're saying, okay, look into it for the possibility or what is the likelihood of large price event risk, right? That's when you want to look for that. Did they get through the phase 2 yet? Because if they haven't yet, then it's, I think, probably riskier from a volatility standpoint. But again, I think it's a fool's errand.
Biotech might as well be its own asset class, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. Very different.
It is so wild. Anyway, great job. Wait, do we have any more on the hot corner? Great job today, Steve. Guys, this goes out every single day. It is totally free. The link to get this note is it's not in the description, but I'll drop it in the chat right now for you, and then you guys can see, and you can get it delivered in your inbox every single day for free. It's fantastic.
10-cent music, new 52-week highs today. How you doing?
Market's been open for 14 minutes.
Not in China. They've been closed.
Touche. Well,
market's been open for a long time, Strazza. You know, we're just the last ones to open.
Ooh-wee.
You know, we're not Americans. We're earthlings. Investors forget that.
Look, this one, I know we've been obnoxious about it, but seriously, this is just looking better and better here. You finally got that breakout. It's moving into this.
What are you talking about?
TME.
Oh, yeah, TME.
It's just, I really like it. Very long. Let's move on.
We have Sean here.
I think that we should bring in Mr. Shawnee, baby.
Yeah, we do. All right.
Give it
Thursday.
to me.
It's options Thursday. I don't know.
Okay.
Theta Thursday?
Theta Thursday.
How about that?
I hate the Theta.
Is that not going to catch on?
It's the Vega. Are we going to bring in Sean?
No, he's here. He left and came back. There he
is.
What's up, boys?
There,
What's
my
up?
friend?
What's up? Hey, good get on Denise. Well done. Well done.
Nice, right?
Yeah.
Who's Buffalo losing to this weekend?
I don't know if you got the memo, but they're the hottest team in the NFL. But they will be hosting graciously our neighbors from the South, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Graciously, I'm sure.
Yeah. I don't think any fans are going to get shot in Buffalo, but I'll just throw that out there.
Whoa, dude, come on.
Whoa.
Hey, I'm just reading the chart. Price doesn't lie.
What's the line? What's the line? Speaking of which, what's the line?
Buffalo by $1 billion.
I doubt it.
Here, I don't know. I'll check if you want me. Here.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk, huh? First of all, before we get into the trade we did yesterday,
Pittsburgh's plus 10. Wow.
Buffalo by $1 billion.
Dude, all in on Steelers. All in.
Okay.
I'll take the over on what's his face's interceptions too.
10 is quite large.
What's this guy's name?
Game. Mason Rudolph.
No,
you know what? You could lead the league in interceptions when you also lead the league in touchdowns. It's okay.
How many? What's his name?
Don't pretend like you don't know. I love when Jason pretends like he doesn't know things.
Mason Rudolph? Who are we talking about?
What's the quarterback for Buffalo? The guy that throws all the interceptions.
Josh Allen. Don't even play into it, Sean.
No, I'm not going to play it. Where's the Target? Do people even shop at Target? Come on, shut up.
Jim Kelly.
My wife tells me that she hates Target. So that's my fundamental analysis. And
Target?
I will never step foot in one of those. I don't know what I would even buy there. So based on my experience.
Where's the Walmart? Do people shop at Walmart?
Seriously, who goes to Walmart? Why don't you just order online like a normal person?
Dick's, he's in.
What year is this? Can we talk about this? Because so long TJ Maxx as a hedge against my wife's spending.
Love that.
Right? Then we're going to take it to a whole nother level and buy out of the money calls, right? Do I have that right?
Well, yeah, we're not doing it because of your wife's shopping, although I love that narrative. And I should do more of that myself. But what's happening in TJX, it's a confluence of two of my favorite things. We have a stock approaching an all-time high. We have a stock about to hit the $100 roll. Those two things together are quite possibly my favorite setup in the world. Doesn't mean it's going to work, but those are my favorite. That's probably my favorite setup in the world. Stock's trading right around 94 and change right now. You know, $100 is within spitting distance, and that's an all-time high, and volatility is low. We just bought calls because, hey, these are the types of trades I love to be in. And, you know, I get questions a lot about the $100 roll because we talk about it a lot. And one of the things, perhaps a misconception about the $100 roll is that when the $100 price level, which hasn't been hit yet, that's another thing I should point out. It has to be the first time it hits 100. It's not every time we're approaching 100. It's the first time the stock is hitting 100. When it gets to 100, the theory, if you want to call it a theory, isn't that it's going to get to 100 and then stop. It will often overshoot, sometimes aggressively, but it's not uncommon at all for a stock that makes a $100 roll to trade up to 105, 106, 107. That's pretty common. And that's the bet that we're making here with TJX. We bought the 100 strike calls. What did we buy? Oh, I should know this. We got the April calls. We bought the 100 strike. Yeah, we paid $1.60 for them. And my plan is I'm not going to do, if this thing keeps going up, I'm not going to do anything until we get to about 105. And then I'll look to take a little off the table. But and Sean, if we get to 105, by the way, our calls will be. Can we talk about
what we didn't do in terms of the strikes and expirations? We talked about, I said January. You thought I meant this month. I meant January 25, which was hilarious. The fact that you even looked at this January. Okay, can we talk about why we didn't do some of the other ones? Even June, we didn't want to do June.
Yeah, I was more of the mind that this is a little bit more of a shorter term bet. And it might sound crazy to some of you for me to say that a stock that has or a position has 4 months expiration is a longer term or a shorter term trade. But to me, that seems a little bit shorter term. I did not want to do the January 2025 calls, which are right on the edge of being called leaps. All right. I didn't want to do those because the premium was a bit higher, and more to the point, I generally only like to do leaps when volatility is in the basement, meaning we're at the lowest levels we've been at for a long time. Now, volatility is relatively low here in TJX, which is fine for normal call buying, but I'm not going to be aggressive and go way out in time unless the volatility is dirt cheap. And in this case, it's not. So that's why I didn't like that trade.
Does it have to be 12 months or more to officially be a leap?
I believe so, yeah. I believe that's how that. I mean, I don't trade a whole lot of leaps, you know this, but I believe it has to be at least 12 months.
Yeah, that sounds right. Do you know what LEAP stands for?
Oh, I screw this up all the time. Long-term equity anticipation I forget what the P stands for.
Long equity and something.
Products, I think.
Really?
Long-term equity anticipation securities.
What's the P for then?
The
Participation.
Yeah, okay.
Oh.
No,
there you
not
go.
participation.
Yeah,
Anticipation.
what is the P
Anticipation,
for?
Whatever. Anticipation.
It's
Yeah,
a random
patience.
P they threw in there.
It is a
I don't
random P.
endorse.
Yeah. But if they didn't, then they would just be Lees.
Yeah, that wouldn't
It
work.
would just be Lees.
That never would have caught on.
And Lees are actually dead yeast cells that hang out in the wine bottle to give it added viscosity and that biscuity flavor that you're going to get from champagne.
All right.
Well,
Hey, I wanted to throw you guys a curveball here and just talk about a stock that has been on our mind. And Strazza and I talked about this on Spaces the other day. But MicroStrategy coming back a little today is the sell-off that we saw in MicroStrategy. For those who don't know, I'm sure you know by now, but it's the de facto, has been up till now, been the de facto Bitcoin ETF. Now that all that ETF news is out, was that more of a sell the rumor, buy the news situation? And can MicroStrategy start trading the way we're used to it trading relative to Bitcoin?
The premium will disappear because there's no reason for it to be an ETF anymore. So it'll trade a little bit above what its total Bitcoin holdings are, which is like 8.6 billion or something like that, 8.7 billion. So there's $1 billion in market cap that is not necessary from my perspective. And I think that premium is going to diminish over time because it's not necessary anymore. It's no longer the de facto Bitcoin ETF. It just owns a lot of Bitcoin. So that, it doesn't mean that it won't go up with Bitcoin. It definitely will, in my opinion, and down when Bitcoin goes down. But that separation.
I find myself in a unique situation with this MicroStrategy because I'm currently in an options trade, and everyone knows, anyone who knows anything about what we do here at All Star Charts, they know that we are not fundamental analysts, and I'm certainly not.
Thank
a fundamental,
God. You imagine how
I am certainly not a
boring
fundamental analyst.
Oh.
However, that being said, we got into this MicroStrategy trade for two reasons. Number one, we liked the chart setup. That's always number one. Number two, we liked it because it was our play on Bitcoin. Well, the chart pattern appears to be broken, and B, the fundamental reason for us even wanting to be in this trade seems to no longer exist. I'm thinking about just pulling the plug on this trade, which would be out of character for me a little bit.
It's not that it no longer exists, Sean, is that the premium for it being a de facto Bitcoin is going away, but it doesn't mean it won't go higher as Bitcoin goes higher. In fact, my bet is that it will, just to be clear.
And it'll probably go higher still at a faster rate than...
When do the options come out on the new ETFs? Any guesses?
Mm-hmm.
When do the options start trading on the new
They'll come
ETF?
out soon.
Yeah.
What are you shaking your head in disapproval for?
I have no guess. I have no guess.
Spencer is just not approving. He's like, oh.
No, that's
Kids
not. I
these
approve.
days.
I just don't. I don't know.
I would not be surprised if they come out right out of the gate. If the options happen right out of the gate.
Like what? Within a week?
Yeah, right away. I would not be surprised. Just because there's so much interest in it, right?
Like if there's a big IPO that's going to be a 50 billion, 100 billion IPO, big IPO, those options come out quick, huh?
Yeah.
It's the bottom line is this is a leveraged long Bitcoin play, which I think is a play that you still want on the books. Like, sure, the facts changed, and looking back now, maybe should we have done GBTC instead or something? I think that would have been risky too.
That was losing its discount and premium. Also, that's over too.
That would have been a no from me. So I don't know. I think you still want to be involved. Unlike JC, who's out here like target hit in Bitcoin, I very much think that this new bull market in crypto is just getting started here.
Nobody's saying it's not. The target was 47,000. We hit that this week.
He likes to remind you along the way as we hit him, right? Is that fair?
I think we consolidate here. I think Ethereum takes the lead. I guess we'll see what happens.
I think they're all going to be doing well, and MicroStrategy being a levered play, us being in the options, I wouldn't take that off here.
Well, hey, our stop on MicroStrategy is 550, so we might just get stopped out naturally anyway. We're almost there, so we'll see what happens.
I will just shout out my new favorite.
40. By the way, 48.50 on the Bitcoin. So that shows you what the market thinks about my target.
So I talked a lot about how I was taking profits in Coinbase. I sold, I think, 4/5 of my Coinbase. Still have
4/5.
Yeah, I kept a little bit. I just
call that 80%.
I right-sized it.
Call it an even 80.
A little bit.
It was a lot bigger than everything else when I started. It went up a lot more than everything else throughout the year.
You sure it was 4/5 and not 9/10?
It was like 5/6. It was a lot. So anyway, I right-sized it back to the other positions. What I did with a lot of the profits was put them into this Galaxy Digital, this BRPHF. It's really working. Nobody's talking about it.
It's a lot of letters in that ticker.
Yeah, this is Novogratz's firm. And these guys are going to win in a number of different ways in the new crypto bull market.
I make my decisions based on what tattoos that guy gets.
Look, this one looks better than any of the crypto stocks right now. So
Too soon?
just throwing it out there.
Throwing it out there.
Should we hit a little recess?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I got a good one today.
Yep.
So last night, my wife took the boys up, the twin boys, to go give them a bath. So it was just me and my daughter. And it was one of those where, like, we didn't know what we were going to do for dinner, but we had all these leftovers. It's like, oh, we'll just eat leftovers. But I didn't want any leftovers. So I made breakfast for dinner. And I introduced my 3.5-year-old daughter to what it's like having breakfast for dinner. Her head was exploding.
She loved it. Doesn't she love breakfast?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. She's eating eggs. She's eating waffles, sausage. Like, we're going ham. And she's like, Daddy, breakfast for dinner? Waffles for dinner? I'm like, yeah, watch this. She's like, Daddy, you're cooking the eggies and the bacon? Hell yeah. So she was like, and it's just me and her. So there's no like running to mommy. Like, this is what it is. She loved it. I taught her what sunny side eggs were because, mommy always makes them scrambled. So she loves the sunny side up eggs in the bacon fat. Like, she's like freaking out. It's a whole new world. Loves it.
That's awesome.
Well done. You scored some
wait till she learns about pizza for breakfast. That's another lesson.
The best. That's awesome. My recess is, I've been growing like a little bit like more sour on Twitter, like a little bit more by the day over the last year or so. Yesterday was a reminder of what makes Twitter great. Yesterday is what Twitter was made for.
Why?
You had, in the span of what seemed like a few minutes, you had the Bitcoin ETFs approved. You had Nick Saban retiring. You had Chris Christie dropping out of the race, which he was the governor of my home state. I don't like him. I hate him, but I was enjoying the I guess the shade and fraud of that. So my timeline was just blowing up yesterday afternoon, and I was reminded how great Twitter can be on days like that when there is so much news happening at the same time and everyone just wants to be there for the conversation. It really brought me back. I mean, it made me feel very nostalgic, and days like yesterday are days are what Twitter is made for, and I loved it.
I'm happy that you're happy, Spencer.
Yes, it was great.
All right, for recess.
Yeah.
For recess, the one thing I have is I'm just going to complain like everybody else about how the NFL has partnered with one of these streaming services and is requiring people to have it to watch games. I feel for you, JC. You're going to have to do that this weekend. I did that 2 weeks ago when they had
I'm
the
in
Bills
favor
game.
of it. This is America. Go make your money.
No,
I got no problem with that.
I have no problem with it either, but I already paid for NFL Sunday Ticket. If I paid for that, I'm supposed to get every game.
Not the playoffs. You knew that going in. Don't front like you didn't know that. You must be new here.
It's crazy how they do this. So what would that mean for me this weekend? Because Sean's talking about the Dolphins game. So there's no local.
It just means go to a bar, Strazza.
Yeah,
that's exactly.
How about like the local network programming?
Go to a bar. It's Saturday night. Go to the bar.
You don't get what I'm saying? I don't get it either. Living down here.
Nope, you won't get it. You won't get it.
You won't get it. Go to the bar.
No.
Okay. Not a big deal. You live in South Florida. There's going to be a lot of Dolphins fans there.
JC, I hear what you're saying about the NFL Sunday Ticket is not for the playoffs. You're
Never
right.
was.
No, you're right. But they did this 2 weeks ago, regular season game. There was a Bills game against, I forget who it was, but we had to download the thing and pay the $12 for the thing, which I don't care about the $12. It's just the fact that I paid for NFL Sunday Ticket, and the advertising is you get every game.
Let them make
Every
their
game.
money. This is America. Go get it. I got no problem with it. Go
Well,
get it.
they're making plenty.
Oh, I know.
I know the NFL's making plenty of money.
Don't worry about them. Yeah.
Although I am
right.
totally in favor if the NFL, and it, more than NFL, I mean, really all cable, like I would pay a la carte for every channel. I'd pay $1 a month for any channel I watch, and nothing for nothing else. Like, because I only watch like 5 channels. If I could pay $1 a month per channel, I'd be super happy.
They won't all charge you $1 a month.
Right. Supply and demand, baby. You should look into it. It's a thing.
It's amazing. They unpackaged it all and separated everything and tried to make it a la carte, and now they're slowly repackaging it all back together in a different way. So.
All right. It's Thursday, which means we got Options Jam session at noon with Sean at Chart Request Live. We have a few requests already in the inbox, so that'll be at 1 o'clock, Strazza and Pat. Stay tuned for both those things. Thanks to our guest, Denise Shull. We'd love to have her back. Thanks to Sean. Thanks to all of you. Go make some money. Happy trading.
Go Bills.
Adios.
Run it. I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs.